for tuning in. My name's Keisha. I'm the founder of Upgraded Mindsets and the host of the Empowering Real Talk podcast. Since you are tuning in, let me tell you, expect unfiltered dialogues on relevant topics designed to help unlock effective personal, professional, and entrepreneurial growth. The Empowering Real Talk podcast will encourage you to implement any necessary steps to activate and achieve greater success on any and every level. Listen, in order for us to grow individually and as a whole, these conversations are necessary. I appreciate your support. Let's get it. Welcome back to Empowering Real Talk. It is your girl, Coach K, baby, and you know I am back with another dope session. If you have not already, make sure you guys subscribe to the Upgraded Mindsets media channel where you are listening to Empowering Real Talk, and you also are going to catch the Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship. Listen, in order for us to grow individually and as a whole, you know these conversations are necessary. So if you see my beautiful face here on the video, then you know that I'm not here by myself. So I'm allowing my guest the honor of introducing herself. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, Grand Rising. I hope you and your family and the audience family, everybody is doing well on this rise.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad to have you here. Let my audience know who you are.
Well, I am Goddess Victoria Shakur, and I am the founder of YouMasteryLLC.com, all about mastering you. And so I'm known as a quantum healer, psychic, certified life coach. It's a long title.
Hey, I love it. I love it. And I'm so glad to have you here. We have had some great conversation prior to our recording. So I'm super excited to chat with you a little bit more and for my listeners to hear more from you as well. So, yep, you told us exactly your titles and everything, but kind of tell us how you got started with everything.
So basically, really, it started when my children were very young. And we would be out at a doctor's office or whatever, at a restaurant or whatever, and just people would walk up to me and ask me questions about how are they sitting there so mannerable? How come they're so chilled? And they would crack jokes, like, are you drugging them? What's going on?
Oh, wow.
And and to me, I thought it was normal.
Yeah.
But I quickly learned that no, this is not normal for a lot of people. And so they would ask me if they can call me, if they can ask me questions or whatever. And I'm like, yeah. So a cousin of mine told me that, what you're doing is parenting coaching. And I didn't know anything about coaching at that time. And so I started researching that, went ahead and got certified through Joe Vitale, who was a very famous, phenomenal coach. And what do you call a manifestation practitioner.
Oh, right.
And so I got my certification in all of that, created an online course, went on a spiritual retreat, met a wonderful person, and we created a blog talk radio show, which was very successful. Now, during this time, I'm divorced by now. And so the talk show was called One Single Mother to Another. And it was going phenomenal. And then we just kind of dropped everything, and I focused on my last two, making sure they make it out of high school and all of that. And so I went from corporate America and I started driving Lyft, and I kept having to minister to people. And so I had a conversation with Source and said, is this what I'm supposed to do? And so through NLP, getting therapy myself, having coaching sessions for myself, I went on a couple of spiritual retreats, doing the plant medicine, learning tapping and different forms of meditations, and you name it, reading tons of self-help books, you name it. It allowed me to tap back in, and I was introduced to my spiritual gifts at that time too. Along that journey, got certified as a Reiki healer, and then it allowed me to just start utilizing my gifts and finding my tribe and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I went ahead and got certified again as a mindset coach by a very powerful coach who was a billionaire, that taught me that, I needed to trust in myself and trust in my abilities, that I have been doing them the whole time, my whole life. And I just didn't know it because I thought it was normal, which I did.
Yeah.
And so, but it explained why in my childhood, people thought I was weird and, strange.
Yeah.
And in my family, I felt like the ugly duckling, and I was kind of like an outsider looking in,
Yeah. Yeah. And let's
And
talk about that for a second, right? Because we want to always feel like that we're able to fit in, right? And we always want to feel like that, we're not the black sheep. But what I have learned more and more with myself is it's okay to be the black sheep, right? It's okay to say, hey, I think differently than you. I act differently. I look at things differently than you. And it's okay. We have this societal stigma that puts it in that, we're supposed to be ashamed of that. And I know that, me and you have chatted about this before, but like before, you really stepped into that purpose for yourself, like, how did you feel about being different? Because you knew you were different,
Mhm.
right? So how did
Yeah.
that like make you feel back then before you stepped into that power?
As a child, it was very sad for me because I wanted to fit in. I
Yeah.
wanted, my friends to like me, and I was tall and skinny at the time. And so none of my clothes fit me, and things like that. And
Mhm.
so
Right, right.
that on top of, being different, but I made straight A's in grade school and in junior high, middle
Yeah.
school. People don't say junior high anymore,
Right, right.
right? I'm aging myself. So
Dang.
yeah, but yeah, in middle school, even though despite all of that, and it wasn't until my adulthood and really during my marriage that I start to come into accepting who I am. So it
Mhm.
took me a long time,
Yeah.
and I went through a time in my life where I believe it was a year and a half, maybe 2 years of just wilding out in the streets, doing things, Luckily, I didn't get on drugs, but I did try a few.
Right,
And
right.
so, yeah, and wound up doing some time in the federal. I did
Mm.
30 days in the federal, and that was a learning thing for me. And all through that, that's when after that, I started having more spiritual encounters, and I thought those were just, oh well, and
Yeah.
I didn't
Right.
mention it to anybody, but
Yeah.
but all of that I realized was leading me to who I am now. And so
Absolutely.
that, and I know that I had to go through all of those things. And a lot of it was due to being molested as a child, and overcoming that, 2 rape attempts, and so it was a lot of healing that had to take place. And then as I was taught, when I started coming into my gifts and spirituality, that I had to go through all of those things so I can relate to anybody wherever they are in their lives, which helped me develop the programs that, not programs, the plans, I like to call them
Yeah.
plans, that I have developed when I help people move through their traumas, whatever it is.
Yeah, and
I
that's
probably,
powerful.
yeah.
That is powerful that you said that because we don't really want to go through these things, but once we have that higher understanding, it's like, okay, I had to experience some of these things because in order for me to be able to help others.
Mhm.
And that was a hard reality for me, as someone that has like suppressed emotions throughout all of her years. The only emotion I knew was anger, right? So anything that I came out with was angry. They're like, oh, you're always mad. Yeah, but you always asking me for help though. Like that was the mindset that I had, but I wanted to be that person, right? I wanted to be that supportive person, but the only emotion that would come out was anger. But that's because I wasn't identifying all of everything that was within me because I was just lost. I was stuck. I was in that negative realm, of just societal expectations and being
Mhm.
so unfulfilled behind that. Because I know, like, even with you, not really stepping into that, was there a sense of unfulfillment that you had within your life?
I don't necessarily know if it was at a time
Mhm.
of unfulfillment, but I knew that it was 2 things that I just knew in my soul, that I am here to do something more than most people are doing, but
Yeah.
I just didn't know what it was. And then the other thing was, I'm here to live. I'm not here to work a job and retire and be like that. So
Yeah.
those were the 2 things I just knew
That
as a
you just knew.
child. Yeah, as a child. The one thing about going through all of those experiments is what I like to call them, experimenting, right? Is that all in all, even though it was anger for you, you knew though that you had a loving heart.
Yep, I
And
did.
see, you just know that. And it was the same, like I knew that I loved people.
Yeah.
I really did. Now there was points in my life that I felt like I didn't. It's like I
Yeah.
couldn't stand people, you
Hmm.
know, and I wanted to just pretty much be alone, and and just explore who I am,
Right.
you know. And this didn't occur till after my children got to be teenagers at a certain age, and we would meditate together, and I had a book club with my children and things like that. And
Nice.
so we would Sundays and all that kind of stuff. And so this was my spiritual journey. So as I was learning, I would teach them,
Teach them. And
you
I think
know.
that's critical. The fact that you were, opening that up to them. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
even if they weren't supposed to go on that similar journey with you, at least being exposed to it.
Mhm.
When people hear the word exposed, they automatically think it's a negative thing. I don't. I look at it for exactly what it is. If I'm supposed to be
Mhm.
exposed to something for whatever lesson that I'm supposed to get from that, then
Mhm.
that's exactly how I receive it. And it really just involves kind of like reconditioning of our entire mindset, right?
Mhm.
Because you could have took your gifts and made them a negative thing. You could have ran from them. You could have been scared, you could have, but how would that have helped you holistically, like
Mhm.
overall, mentally, physically, emotionally? How would that have helped you by you running from your gifts?
Mhm.
Because as I said earlier, being different, because everybody don't got the gifts that you have. You are definitely unique. You know what I'm saying? So being able to step into that, and like now let's fast forward, because you are definitely walking that journey, sis. Like you are out here like, hey, this what I do, this how I help, let me help you with this. Where how did you get yourself to that point?
So it was in stages.
Mhm.
And so after one of the, I would say the neat thing about getting certified by this billionaire coach was that we had to practice on each other.
Mm.
And so, and this is where a lot of my gifts start being introduced as well. And I did run from it a long time,
Mm.
because I was like, I don't even like people.
Right.
So I was like, no. However, driving Lyft, people will get in my car and will just start talking to me. And this has been my whole life. And so,
Mhm.
and then I would say what I naturally would say and do. And next thing you know, they're back there crying. And I would be like, what is going on? Why when I'm talking to these people, they start crying. And when I started networking, going to networks and things like that, people would call me over, somebody would call me over and would start talking and start crying.
Yeah.
So I had to have this talk with source, like what is going on.
What
And
is
and
going
then I
on?
was shown in a lucid dream my energy and what I'm doing to people unbeknownst to me. So I had to start to get to know what this energy is that I'm carrying, what these gifts are that has been with me my whole life that I didn't know. And once I said, oh, okay, then I accepted it and I said, all right, source, okay, I'll do it. And so um, from there, I just started creating my brand new spanky, brand new YouTube channel. I went on TikTok, and this was also at the nudge because a lot of times when I ask universe something or have a talk, I'll get a message from somebody, either
Mm.
one of my clients or it'll come through a song, and I'll know because it'll be just so specific to my question. And so I had a client was like, "Are you on social media? Because I want to follow you." And I'm like, no. What social media? What, are you on Facebook? Are you on TikTok? No. What's wrong with you? You need to be on. And I'm like,
Like, what's really going on?
yeah, like what? Like you, people need to know you. Like they need to, see what you do and things like that. And I was like, I don't even know what to say. Like, what would I
Yeah.
say? And so I had to tap back in when I had my YouTube channel back in 2011. Like, what was going on then? And I went back and watched some of those videos and I said, "Oh, okay, wow, that's me."
Right,
And
right.
so,
That is
yeah,
crazy to look back on that. Like, how did that make you feel just looking back on that?
yeah, when I was looking back on that, it just brought back a lot of remembering how it felt when the downloads were coming, or uploads. I would say
Mm,
uploads, when I was receiving those uploads, talking to parents at that time, and now receiving the uploads, just talking in general. Because what happened was, a lot of times when I was coaching parents, before I can even get to the parenting part, I had to get through their own stuff first.
yeah.
And so I had to take them through a process of relieving a lot of their traumas and locked in deep subconscious in their DNA. And so once we got through that, then we got to the parenting part, which was rather easy after that. It
Yeah.
was pretty easy. And so going back to talk about when you were saying being exposed, what is exposed? You're either being introduced to something or made aware
Yeah.
of something, right? And so it's just being made aware that this exists. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, right?
Not, baby. You cannot. Ooh, child, you can't unsee it.
Yeah. And so when I was learning on this spiritual journey and learning it, and I said, oh, so I learned about indigo children and crystal children and star seeds and things like that. And so really dived into learning about that. And I realized that I had these special indigo children. And
Mm,
so, and that encouraged me to let me involve them, because before all of this, when they were young, when I had, I've always been entrepreneurial. So I knew that family was business. And that was one of the things I taught in my parenting um, uh, guidance.
nice.
And so I would always sit my children, we would have family meeting. And so, and as they got older, I bought them the planners, they had their little planners in grade school. And my
Right.
oldest daughter, my second oldest, the twins at that time was in their high chairs. And so, and they were part of the meeting as well.
Mm-hmm.
That led to, even to this day, they are used to communicating with each other, and they have no problem communicating
I love
because
that.
of that. And they understand that family is business. And
I love
so being made aware of something or introduced to something, it's like exposure, because you can be exposed to different things, but it's the same thing. I like to say be introduced or be made aware.
Right, right.
Uh,
Like I just love that you're able to freely speak about it. Because a lot of times we tend to restrict that. So I love that you're able to freely, speak about that.
well, I've been
Um,
going through the dark, what they call the dark night of the soul. It was told to me that it's ego transformation is really what it is.
ooh,
And
wee.
so going through this ego transformation, I noticed that there are different degrees.
Mhm.
So I'm being carried, there are different degrees in everything. And so even though I've been guiding people and moving them past their traumas, and the feedback is, oh my God, tapping into my inner child again. And
Right.
I went outside and danced in the rain, and things like that.
Those are
And they're
ooh, I love
yeah, and they're attracting what they want in their lives. I noticed that the knowledge, or I'm going to say the overstanding that
mhm.
I had with that, has now been leveled up since I've been going through this ego
I
transformation.
love it.
You know what it is, because I'm learning that things that are of an advanced spiritual um, understanding cannot be explained with our clunky things called words. It's just
Yay.
no words for it. So the only thing I can do is guide people through, the questioning and helping them tap in, so that they start to get used to using that muscle and get used to paying attention to the body and marrying both the spiritual and the physical.
I love that. I think that that is so critical, right? Because when we're talking about growth, when we're talking about healing, trauma, a lot of times we don't put everything together, right? And when it comes to that journey, and speaking from personal experience, but also understanding when I speak with my clients and stuff like that, it is a holistic approach. It has to be mind, body, soul,
Mhm.
spirit, physical, emotional, mentally, like everything has to be ready to take
Hmm.
that next step. And there's so many of us who tend to want to work on this aspect, but doesn't understand that until you work on all aspects, this is not going to move forward. Do you encounter that with your clients? Especially stepping into the coaching side of things.
Yeah, sometimes, sometimes. And it's just about developing trust,
Hmm.
with the person. And as they start to see results, and
Yeah,
with me, I'm very result oriented. So
absolutely.
you have to get results right away from the first conversation. You're going to feel a sense of release about something, or what I'm getting a lot of is that, oh, I didn't even know. I just was made aware of something about myself that I didn't even know was there. And that's just through my process that I go through, even on the first conversation.
Yeah. So
And
you're pretty
so,
much helping them just like really step into the most empowering version of who they're supposed to be.
mhm,
And coming to you, they don't even know who that is, right?
exactly.
They don't even know who that is. And I've learned, like I said, on my own journey, spiritually and everything else, that I have no ceiling, and I teach my clients there's no ceiling for you.
Mhm,
There's nothing that you're not capable of accomplishing. There's nothing that you cannot achieve, but it all involves you, one, being able to let go of that outdated thinking process that I like to call it,
mhm.
because we operate in outdated values, outdated thinking all day, every day, but also being open-minded to let someone come in and help you.
And
Because, and
open-minded is the key.
there you go.
That's the
Especially as
key.
us with women, and I know
Mhm,
that you work with women and men,
mhm,
but with women, I know sometimes it's hard for us to open up, right? It's
mhm,
hard for us to say, you know what, I am, especially a stranger, but what I have learned is strangers have helped me out of the darkest times.
mhm,
I love my family, I love my friends, but like you said, being open-minded to say, I'm open to listen to this person. I'm open to hear about what methods they want to use to help me.
mhm,
Hey, once I actually let that happen,
mhm.
hey, like you say, some things you can't put into words, and that is
Yeah.
definitely one of them. But the sense of fulfillment that I have now also allowed me, because like you said, you were always on, had that entrepreneurial spirit. I did not, right? Before 2020, I was working full time and had no desire to be an entrepreneur.
Mhm,
But because I had began that transformational shift within myself, it was like, hey, you got to start doing this and helping other people do the same thing. You've always been a helpful person, right? So now let's step into it and let's align your purpose with that. Hence where Upgraded Mindsets was born. Upgraded
mhm,
Mindsets was born in 2020. And you would have
mhm.
never, ever told me that I'd be sitting here doing what I'm doing right now,
Oh, that's
on a full
beautiful.
time basis. You
That's
know,
so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
thank you. I
It
appreciate
really
that.
is. And I am so honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
no,
for
thank
allowing me
you.
to come before you and share, my gifts and knowledge and
Absolutely. So
with
yeah,
the
speaking
audience.
of that, kind of, if you want to kind of dive into a little bit on how the process works from a person's first time with you versus their 10th time with you. Do you have like a general realm, or do you just, help anyone that actually comes to you and wants to be helped? Is there like a certain criteria that has to be met, or?
Well, a lot of times the people that come to me are people that have done everything else.
Okay.
They went to tarot card readers, they've reading all the self-help books, and I am sort of a rebel with the self-help industry because I come from a premise that you don't need fixing. And so me coming from that premise, it's very different than what most people are used to
Yeah.
because I don't look at you as somebody that I'm going to fix, you know. Um, and so I look at you as a divine being. And
Mm,
so from the first start of our conversation, it's just getting to know each other and getting to know if you are somebody I want to work with
right.
and if I am a good fit for you. Okay. Um, and so we're going to establish that first, just through natural conversation and then after I'm going to ask a few questions, and see what it is that they're looking for. And so a lot of times what I'm getting is people have a lot of, especially women and especially women of that look like me,
Hmm.
our copper tone women. are they're coming from a lot of trauma. They're carrying
Mhm.
around a lot of trauma and secrets, family secrets. And so what I'm getting is that once we start working with that and uncovering those things, it's almost like a domino effect. It's going to
Yes.
uncover some more things and then some more things. And so from the first day is more like an introduction, and then they accept my assistance. The second day is we starting right away. We get
Mm.
down to the nitty gritty. Let's get down to the work. Um, it's although it's very pleasant though. It's very pleasant,
For sure.
but we get down to the work and started guiding them right away. So they get tools that they have to download, and so they get those tools that they download. If they do the 6 month and 12 month plan, then they get the ebooks that I've written. And then I have a program where you can do what I call rapid precision coaching. And that is you can contact me anytime for 6 months and
Mhm.
anytime you need me and get quickness. It can 15 to 30 minutes max, quick coaching on the go that you might need.
I
And
love that.
so that's another one that they can get as well. Listen, I don't want to waste my time and I definitely don't want to waste your
You
time.
can say it again.
Yes. And so during those different things, they also get a recode. And so if you do the 90 days, 6 month, and 12 months program, you get a DNA recode.
Nice.
And then and also some quantum healing if some healing needs to be done, which means that I'm moving out some energies that may be some stuck energies that may be there. Recode is very permanent, it's very deep, but it's a permanent result. It's
Yeah.
a permanent result.
I love
So
it. I love it.
you get that and a few other things, sometimes
Right.
you just never know what I'm gonna do for you.
I love that. I love that. Like you have
And so
such a
sometimes it's
unique, yeah, you have such a unique, platform. So if this is something that you're feeling like is being called, because for one, if you're listening to this message, if you're listening to this podcast, then that's already that initial calling, right? For you
Mhm.
to kind of perk those ears up and kind of say, you know what, this may be an avenue for me. But what she said earlier is, and that's, you have to be open-minded. You have to be open-minded to any and everything when it comes to your growth journey, when it comes to your transformational shifts, when it comes to your mindset reconditioning. And that's going to involve you getting hella uncomfortable, y'all. But that journey is so necessary. We've got to really step into that and know that we're going to be uncomfortable, right? Know that we're going to be uncomfortable, know that there's going to be some obstacles, know that we're going to have people that are going to be like, what are you doing? Don't do that. But who are you doing it for?
Mhm.
I hope for you. I
Mhm.
really hope for you. So take this episode here and really sit down and say, you know what? There's nothing wrong with initiating a conversation. Whether you're initiating with myself, whether you're initiating it with her, make sure that you are open minded to at least initiate it. Okay. So while I'm telling them all of that, Victoria, please let them know where they can find you at on social media.
So you can find me on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all the handles are the same. Tori, Tori, loves, Loves, the letter U, the number two.
Hey,
Tori loves you too.
come on, Tori loves you too. I love it. And like I said, all of those links will be in the podcast notes. Is there any final words that you would like to say to the listeners?
Don't be afraid to reach out and get the help that you know you need. If you're seeing a pattern going on in your life, it might be a pattern like, dang it, every year around this time, I'm broke as hell.
Yeah.
That's a
Come
pattern.
on. Yeah.
Or I keep attracting the same type of person in my life. That's a pattern. Or if you find yourself where you just cry for no reason, you're just crying for no reason, that's a pattern.
Mm,
Okay. And
love.
if you have received help in the past and you're feeling like it's just something, I just don't feel fulfilled, you know, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't play yourself cheap. You are worth every penny that whoever you're talking to, if they say that that's their energy exchange in helping you, then that's what it is.
That's what it is. I
Don't
love
play
it.
yourself cheap. You're worth it.
You're worth it, baby. Powerful final words. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your presence, your energy, your space. Thank you so much for
And
being
our sun stars, which is our men, and I got that from Floyd Baran. She's so beautiful, and she calls them our sun stars. She calls the women the sea stars.
here.
So sea stars, sister sea stars.
Okay.
So our sun stars definitely with you. I want you to know that we love you. We need you. We need your strength. We need your intelligence, your patience, your nurturing, and all of that. Please, please, please don't be afraid to reach out. Everything that you talk to, you get with a person that you resonate with, make sure that it's confidential. That's important for them. Okay, because a lot of our men are walking around in pain as well, and a
Yes,
lot of them have been touched. A
absolutely.
lot of them have been touched as children, and it was always the women that was, will be well known,
Yep.
and not the men. But it's a lot of our men have. Trust me.
Absolutely. We are here breaking stigmas one step at a time. Whatever you're doing to enable that, to initiate that, whether you're doing it through community service, whether you're doing it through conversation, but just be an advocate in breaking these stigmas because we need each other in order for us to continue on this journey of becoming more mentally healthy, physically healthy, spiritually healthy. We need each other for that. Okay. So we out of here, y'all. I appreciate y'all taking the time out. Again, if you have not subscribed to Empowering Real Talk or the Upgraded Mindsets Media channel, make sure you do that right now. Again, all of the information listed in that we talked about today, all of her information will be listed in the notes as well as mine. So I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. Stay empowered, baby.